Good evening and hello to you. Thanks for joining into the podcast. It is always a pleasure to have you here, wherever you may be in this world. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Daily live streams, you know how it is, and let's keep it going for the period of Lent. We have, I believe, 4 more days now, and I feel like I've grown as a YouTuber, producing daily content, and yeah, just learning how to speak to a camera, learning how to speak to you, interact, think, and gather my thoughts, and actually present it in an entertaining way. It's a life skill that we all need, and good vocal delivery is life changing. Some of our favorite business people, artists, musicians, leaders, any sort of profession where you work with people, because as much as you use systems and tools, people make things happen, and you can't really do it alone. You need to be able to connect with people and make it happen. So in summary, it is one of the reasons I've been enjoying this YouTube thing. And something else I've done is added now structure and a topic depending on the day. So Friday is like a level up Friday. Let's make Saturdays pseudoscience Saturdays. As I'm sure you've seen, if you've been in the podcast space on YouTube, or you're watching a couple of podcasts or streamers, particularly, the Red Pill space, Fresh and Fit podcast, especially Myron Gaines, Rolo Tomasi's, and the Sterling Coopers, Jay Wallers, Andrew Tate's. I can go on and on and on. There's a lot of pseudoscience. What is pseudoscience? Pseudoscience is people quoting studies off of Wikipedia, coming up with untested theories, pretty much believing their own BS. There's bro science and the pseudoscience, and I'm a bro scientist. I'm all about taking information that I read on the internet, coming up with my own pseudo academic knowledge. So pseudo studies, studies that are heavily biased, coming up with my own hypotheses, not questioning it in any way, and assuming it to be true. There's a lot of Dunning-Kruger effect at play. So Dunning-Kruger is where, because you are around a lot of people who aren't in the similar space you're in, that you feel you're a lot better than you actually are. Whereas usually when you're around other experts or professionals who question you and who are using proper academic processes, you feel a lot less qualified than you actually are. So there's a lot of Dunning-Kruger happening with a lot of the pseudoscience. That said, I'm all about pseudoscientists. I'm a very known bro scientist. And even if you look up memetics is one of my favorite pseudosciences. If you look up Wikipedia, it's kind of like, yeah, quoting Wikipedia. Anybody can say anything, and it can sound believable. So, today's pseudoscience topic is using evolutionary psychology to try guess reasons why often people stay in toxic environments, toxic jobs, and toxic relationships. So, my particular theory that I believe, and feel free to comment down below if you have your own, or if you're an expert in this topic, you're always welcome. This is a learning opportunity. This particular live stream is a safe space. So anything you want to say, please comment below. So I feel that one of the reasons, due to evolutionary psychology, why often many people stay in toxic environments or toxic relationships that are bad for them, manipulate them, and even when they know and they find out, one of the reasons why they don't leave is because inherently we know as human beings, solitude can lead to you not surviving. It really makes the difficulty of survival a lot tougher. And deep down, our wiring, our subconscious knows that. So often, like I believe long time ago, when we didn't have like LinkedIn and Indeed and other ways to find new jobs, if you were perhaps working for I don't know, royalty, and they gave you a pretty much bad deal, and you had no other option to leave, like you had no other way to make a living, you stayed, and you hated it, and it almost ruined your mental health and almost ruined you, but you stayed, and you stayed for fear of how would you make a living. And you just told yourself that you just grin and bear it, and you project all that anger outwards to a lot of other people, and like it really messed you up, but you stayed because you had to have some sort of way to provide for your children and get some sort of status. But now, especially like I used to work in a corporate environment, and oh, it was super toxic. Now I can look back and say, but I think one of the reasons why I stayed and the way they manipulated me around it was it's better than being unemployed. What else are you going to do? And they'd hide whatever potential you might have to keep you low, to keep you down. And one of the reasons why you stay and you take it is because your mind is telling you survival wise, I won't be able to survive without them. Even when deep down you know, but your subconscious is telling you, stay, stay, and just take it. And you end up missing out on so many other opportunities in life because, your wiring is telling you to stay safe. Because back in the day, you simply couldn't. So sometimes you have this brain that is wired for survival in like many, many eras ago, but we're living in the modern world now where sometimes you have to be able to negotiate and be willing to walk away, be willing to like take lead of your life and move on to something better. So that's my sort of, pseudoscience take on it. Even sometimes with toxic relationships where people stay with very abusive partners who are physically abusive, verbally abusive, is because a long time ago, I'm sure, rather befriend the person torturing you than go out into the world and fight some of these hard battles on your own. And it was like, yeah, sure, I'll take abuse, but I'll live a little bit longer, slightly longer, with this bad deal than going out and having to fend for myself till eventually you can't take it anymore. Whereas if you're in that survival mode all the time, that's usually how you think. But when you're in an abundance mode, your hardwiring also changes significantly. And you're like, wait a minute, whatever is not good for me, I'll get rid of immediately. It's kind of like if you have an apple tree and an unlimited supply of apples, whenever you pick a bad one, you don't even finish eating it. If you picked an apple with a worm in it, you'd put it aside. You'd be like, nah, I don't want this one. I know there are better apples elsewhere, and I'll wait for a better one to fall my way. Whereas if you didn't have an apple tree and you lived in a country where apples were in shortage and an apple was an absolute rarity, no matter how bad an apple was, you'd keep it. And you'd savor each and every bite, like, oh, this apple, it makes me sick sometimes, but I never get to eat apples. Oh, this one apple will be the one I can finally have. There has to be somewhere I can save this apple. So I think really connecting to that hard wiring in your mind is really important. And I'm using this example with apples to be like, so many things in life are like that. So many things that you may have. So only having one stream of income puts you in scarcity with income, and you end up taking bad offers because you feel, oh, this is the only chance I have to make this money. Oh, I have to take any abuse people give me. And that's a massive struggle I felt when I was a wedding photographer and videographer, cinematographer for a long time. And it was my only income stream. So sometimes you take on clients who'd abuse you, pay you late, haggle, and they'll be like your main client. So you can't really, talk back about it because it was like survival. Like you're in survival mode. So whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you own your own business, at the end of the day, what truly matters is that you're not in survival mode, that you're in abundance with multiple things. So have a job, have a side hustle, have this, but have options, have that apple tree that gives you the variety of diverse apples that you can get at any time, so that when one is a bit bitter, now I want the sweeter one. And you're always looking for better apples. Then you go to your neighbor who also has an apple tree and you're like, hey, can I trade you? Do you have a sweeter apple than the ones that I have? I'll trade you two of mine for a better, sweeter one. And you have to be like, our market behavior is us reacting to hardwired primal instincts that we've always been in. So yeah, that's my pseudoscience for this Saturday, trying to explain some of the behaviors we have in markets, within life, and group behavior. It makes me laugh. I called myself a pseudoscientist because there was actually a doctor. I was at a bar and I was having an argument with this doctor, and he actually, I think he did his master's in like behavioral psychology or something like that. And there was a comment he made, and that comment like really got to me. And uh, maybe I'll save the story for another day, but I'll give you the cliff notes for now. And it was somebody dancing, and he was like, "No, the human spine wasn't meant to move that way." And I'm like, "Hey, the type of animal that the human being came from is meant to seek challenges and meant to push things to the limit. We are the human being is supposed to be a limit pusher. That's the type of animal that we are. And who do I think I am to be even arguing with a doctor about this? But at the same time, I'm like, hey man, I'm a pseudoscientist. I'm going to put my logic against anything and challenge it, because even if you're a doctoral level expert on something, even doctors can be wrong. So that's my 2 cents on this topic. Anyway, I appreciate you for watching this channel. Please share your pseudoscience below. I'd love to know. And I will see you tomorrow. Yeah.